President Trump's plane, Air Force One, took off from RSW just over an hour ago. Four in Your Corner was the only local station that showed his rally live tonight. We do have team coverage on his visit.
So let's send it over to Patrick Nolan, who was inside Hertz Arena for the rally. He's breaking down what the president had to say. Patrick.
Don't be thrown off by the name over my shoulder. It still says Germain Arena, but of course they just haven't changed the sign yet. It will become Hertz Arena. But the only name that mattered here today was Donald Trump. If we show you that scene inside the arena, throughout the afternoon, the excitement was building. Super fans, that's what I would call the people inside. Donald Trump super fans who had big smiles and really, I think, probably hoarse throats by now. There was so much shouting and excitement, applause, even before the president arrived. A few people spoke along the way. And the president revisited a theme that he used to really get him elected. Remember, he came to this arena in 2016, just a few days before Election Day, like he did this time. And back then, he talked about being a part of a political movement, and he revisited that theme again today. Take a listen.
The far-left media has spread terrible lies and stories about the Trump administration and the tens of millions of people who make up our great movement, the greatest political movement in the history of our country. The greatest. The greatest.
The crowd loved that, but the president wasn't just here to talk about himself. He wanted to talk about Ron DeSantis, who's running for governor, who did join him on the stage, as well as Rick Scott, who is running to unseat Bill Nelson in the Senate. And the president talked about what he said was a very important midterm election. He feels like it's a referendum on the first 2 years of his presidency. Listen to that part of the speech now.
What can I say? I'd like to say, but not really. Republicans want strong borders, no crime, no chaos, and no caravans. Democrats want open borders, and they want to invite caravan after caravan into our country, which brings crime upon crime.
Now, PolitiFact and some other fact checkers have said the president's statement there is something that should be questioned, that Democrats have not gone on record in that way. But he also talked about this birthright citizenship. This is something he just brought up yesterday. A lot of political analysts and some of his critics within the Republican Party and even Democrats have said that he's really bringing this up to try to gin up the vote and get people fired up. But basically, he says that someone, just because they're born in the U.S., should not have the automatic right to become a U.S. citizen, something that's enshrined in the Constitution in the view of legal scholars. But the president says not in his book. Listen to that part.
We are one people and one family with one glorious American destiny. We all share the same home. We all share the same heart. We all salute the same flag. And we are all made by the same Almighty God.
As far as the president changing birthright citizenship, the Speaker of the House, who's a Republican, Paul Ryan, said yesterday, quote, obviously you can't do that. So that is leading to an internal debate among Republicans tonight. But in the meantime, we want to focus on the energy outside of the arena today. I've been showing you what's been going on inside, and of course we showed it to you live. Sam Sosa covering that part of the story from when it was daylight and hot out here. Now it's cool and breezy and the parking lots are empty.
Oh yeah, we were out there all day, and let me tell you, this was a rowdy bunch, and it's something to be expected from experience covering Donald Trump rallies. That is how it usually goes, and let me tell you, these people were very pumped to be here. Some of them even stayed overnight to get a spot inside the arena.
Lines for blocks, cheering, merch for sale.
I am the real President Trump.
Even some costumes. This is what was happening outside Hertz Arena as thousands waited to enter tonight's Donald Trump rally. Supporters came to back the president.
He truly loves America like we do. What do you say, guys?
While protesters had to stay off property.
I transitioned over 20 years ago, and I'm not going to let Donald Trump take away my right to health care, housing.
Meanwhile, law enforcement and Secret Service made sure everyone was safe.
Everyone has been so nice. There's law enforcement everywhere, and they've been really nice, so I feel really safe here.
And if you were following our earlier coverage, we did talk to some people after the rally as they were coming out. And what they were telling me was that they were wiped from that whole day of, waiting, getting in the rally, doing the rally, and then finally they were on their way home.
You could definitely feel that energy building throughout the afternoon, and a lot of people waiting out in that hot sun, as you said. And some of the critics showed up, and we're going to get into that part. Some of the demonstrators that greeted the president and his motorcade came through. But in the meantime, we want to be able to give you all the opportunity to ask us questions. You can talk to us on Facebook. In the meantime, our in-studio crew might have a few things to say.
Sam was talking about how rowdy and pumped the people were waiting to get in. Patrick, did you notice any major disruptions that security had to take care of once inside the arena?
No, there really wasn't. But, they had a taped announcement that they kept playing. And if you were watching us live throughout the afternoon and evening, you might have even heard it in the background because it was loud as heck. Could you hear it outside?
Yes. They were basically saying that the president does believe in the First Amendment, but this is a private event and they were not going to allow protesters inside, and that there was an area outside the arena where they could do that.
And, the president uses the phrase, I don't want America to be taken advantage of. He says that about himself. Sometimes people are taking advantage of me. So in that recorded message, they actually said that people might take advantage of being in here. Go ahead and shout Trump, Trump, Trump until that person is removed. But as far as we saw, it's hard to keep track of more than 7,000 people. But there was no evidence of anyone trying to disrupt it inside.
That's good.
And Sam, you were outside talking to some of the folks there. Were they impressed? Was there any new ground covered, or was it what they expected it to be?
Honestly, when I asked them if they were expecting anything new or they were hoping to learn anything, what they told me is they already knew about their candidates and they were just coming to support, and that they knew what all their candidates stood for. So I think that most of the people that came here were already supporters. They weren't here to necessarily learn anything about the candidates that they didn't know before. Of course, it's been a long campaign and, we're leading up to the final day. So a lot of people, I suppose, do know who they're voting for by this time. But that was the feedback I got, that they were just there to support, that they supported the president and they supported the two candidates, Rick Scott and Ron DeSantis, that he was campaigning for as well.
Now, I'm not a professional applause meter, but it seemed like the loudest applause line was when he said, did you all vote? And the place went nuts. And he goes, you promise? And they said yes. And he goes, well, just have a good time, but tell everybody else to. And then the other big applause line was at the end when he ended with the phrase, make America great again.
We heard that one outside, too. Rowdy crowd, like I said.
Few hats, too. In fact, one of the taped recordings inside was showing how the hats are made, that they're made in America, that it's made from 100% twill cotton. We heard it a million times because they play these recordings throughout, and there was no shortage of hats and T-shirts inside and out. All right, in the meantime, we know that traffic has been an issue throughout the afternoon, and then into the evening, there were a lot of headlights and tail lights you can see all throughout the parking lot here at the arena, and even in Miramar outlets nearby. That's, of course, because they all wanted to be lit up by President Trump inside, but Rachel Lloyd has been covering that part of the story throughout the evening. Rachel?
The president left Hertz Arena just before 9 tonight, and people lined the streets to show support and protest his rally. Cars bumper to bumper on Ben Hill Griffin Parkway Wednesday night as people waited for President Trump to arrive. Air Force One landed around 6:30. Vendors set up just outside of Hertz Arena to sell gear for the president's rally, and one made his way through traffic to sell hats. A supporter drove here from West Palm Beach, and his car is decorated from front to back.
We've been to a lot of his rallies. The car's been all over. We've had the hood wrapped and everything since probably 6 months before he was elected. And it just meant everything. When people come by and they thank me for having it on there, it shows that it's doing something.
And it wasn't just supporters waiting for the president's appearance.
I am against Trump and Scott and Rick DeSantis. They're not right for our environment.
Protesters shouted along Ben Hill Griffin as the motorcade made its way to the arena.
People are being divided. The environmental protections that were in place are being dismantled. Our water turned blue, green, and red. We can't have that.
Teleska said he wants to see the U.S. painted one color only.
Have the red wave go all the way across the country.
Cars flooded the roads after the rally. And again, if you're going to or from the airport tonight, RSW says give yourself extra time for travel. In Estero, Rachel Lloyd, Fox 4 in your corner.
All right, thank you, Rachel. It's also been a busy night for a lot of people because they're celebrating Halloween. In fact, some of the folks who showed up here had their own costumes, not just pro-Trump people, but folks who did not appreciate the president's visit and wanted to send him a message of protest. And we'll be showing you some of those images as we move forward with our live coverage here from Hertz Arena. Even though it says Jermaine, don't be thrown off. They just haven't changed the sign yet. We're putting live from Estero. Patrick Nolan, Fox 4 in your corner. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Patrick. And 4